All right, so I think we just need to jump right into this because, bro, you just did something that I feel like has been on my mind and my heart for a while. And we've been chatting back and forth on doing some really dope things in the world of health and wellness and fitness. And you actually just did it. And what's cool is because for quite some time now, you've been talking about this with me behind the scenes. And it was almost like nobody really knows except those who happen to see your post this morning, or last night or whenever it was. And for those of you that are wondering what I'm talking about, I've got Mr. Jordan Alexander on the show. And this brother just finished running a half marathon barefoot, right? Like barefoot, as in no shoes, no socks. And he's holding up the medal.
Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
If you're not watching this right now, I highly suggest you come back and check this out. It's a beautiful medal he's holding up, and there was a photo that I'll see if I can include it in the show. But there was a photo you put up of you holding the medal, I guess, at the finish line with your foot. You see all the dirt at the bottom of your foot, but it's amazing, bro. So let's talk about it, man. How you feeling?
21 kilometers later, barefoot. I'm feeling great. I'm surprisingly feeling amazing. It was a scary but fulfilling and actually, dare I say, easy journey. Scary in prep. So I've been growing deeper in faith, and I've been sharing that with you. And God was like, you're going to do a half marathon. And I was like, cool. It's like, you're going to do it barefoot. Well, that part I didn't have to worry about because I've been only running in Vivo barefoot shoes since April or May of this year. March was the last time I ran in some very super cushioned shoes, and I literally left those in Montenegro. I was like, I'm not going to run these anymore. The last time I ran in those, I felt like I was running in high heels, and I was like, I'm done.
I distinctly remember the point in which you started running in Vivos because it was sometime after we did the speed project, I think, right?
Yep.
And you was like, yo, what's up with him? And on the back end, I'm like, bro, this shoe is everything.
Yeah.
And I remember we got you sent out. But anyway, don't let me divert you from your story.
Yeah. So putting those on. So God's saying run this. And I'm like, cool. He's like, yeah, you're going to do it barefoot. And I'm like, okay, you mean like in barefoot shoes, right? Like, I'm talking to God, like in barefoot shoes. You know what? I'll take them off and I'll just carry them for the last like 5K. So I'll do like 16K, about 10 miles. Then I'll take them off and I'll finish barefoot. And he was like, no. And I'm like, man, and I would tell people, I'm like, well, I'm not sure how God wants me to do it barefoot or not. Fun fact, I was training for a half marathon in December. So next month is what I've been training for. And the longest I've ran is 10 miles. Last week, Tuesday, I'm at my son's jiu-jitsu class, and one of the other moms, her husband, is a runner. And she's like, hey, did you know about the half marathon coming up this Sunday? And I was like, there's a half marathon coming up this Sunday? I immediately got nervous. My whole system was like, and it's like, I knew I got nervous because I knew I was going to run it. Like, even though it wasn't the one I planned to run, I got nervous because I knew that was God saying, you're going to run it. you're ready. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I have a whole nother month. And I just committed to no shoes November. So this is like
Ooh.
November. Yeah. This is like November 3rd. And I'm like, okay, no shoes November. I did like a hybrid kind of fitness event. I did that barefoot. I went on like a 3 mile run that morning, did that barefoot. So I'm like, yeah, like this is cool. Like no shoes November. I'm gonna keep it easy, and I'm gonna build up the callus in my feet, so I'll be ready for December. Here comes like the day after. It's like, hey, there's a half marathon this Sunday, and I was like, okay. I signed up that night. The next day, I was like, I'm gonna run my longest barefoot run, which at the time was a 10K. I
Yeah.
was like,
So it's
okay,
6 miles for those who need
yeah,
the
so
quick.
yes,
Yeah.
6.2 miles, and I did it, and I was like, okay, I actually feel good. Like endurance wise, I was good, but the feet, I was like, okay, there's a little bruising on my toes. I'll chill tomorrow. I was like, maybe I won't run again until Sunday to keep my feet just fresh. I did a little shakeout Saturday, and then Sunday came, and Saturday evening and day, I was so nervous. Like my heart, every time I thought about it, my heart just dropped into my stomach. And I'm like, man, I ran track and I've never been this nervous before a race, before an event, nothing. But now I'm terrified. And I get to so Sunday comes, I got all my things ready. And it's actually funny because people who do marathons and half marathons, they have their race kit and they take their picture and it's like the shoes, the socks, the gels, the this, the that. And I'm like, shorts, bib, headband, bandana. Like
That's what's up.
no, no shirts, no shoes, no gels, just God. Like just straight, like me and God gonna do this. And I line up to the race. I get there, and there's this guy with the Insta 360 video thing. And later, I see this super dope video. He catches me praying before the race goes off, and I see it. Like I didn't know he was recording me. I was just like, I'm like, oh, you have a video. Like people have their phones out.
Mm-hmm.
Later in my run group, it's like, yo, there's a video of you, Jordan. I was like, check it out, and I'm like, I almost cried. I was like, yo, you caught me praying, like genuine prayer before this race. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like that was captured just so I could see it.
Yeah.
And I start the race. I don't think I'm going to win. I start the race in the front just because like I'm barefoot. I don't have time to be tripping over people, or like the experienced runners are usually in the front, and I know how to get out in the race. So I get out, and then I'm running, and it's one of the guys I've trained it once or twice. He's going for like a real like 1:30 half marathon. And I'm like, I just want to break 2 hours. If I don't, I just want to finish. So I'm staying with him, and it's like at about a 7-minute pace for the first like half mile. And I was like, my little thing went off, and I'm like, Jordan, what are you doing? Stop chasing this guy. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
relax. So I chill. But the beautiful thing is the race starts, and there is like it's like on the road, but in the median there's grass. So it's like beautiful, like fresh cut morning dew grass. And I just hop in the median, and I'm like cruising in the median. I'm feeling good. I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about the street right now. And
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah.
the first part of the race, it's like it was like a kilometer down and a kilometer back. So I had the first 2 kilometers were in grass. So I was like, for me, you know, what I mean, anybody else could have jumped up there too, but I'm like, there's no rules about like I'm still running 21K. I'm just running it on a different terrain that's available. And I do that, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, God made a way for me. Like God said, do it barefoot, and don't worry, I got you covered. There's gonna be plenty of grass available for the safety of your feet. And later in the race, when I got back on like hard cement, I'm running, and this is the part where I actually thought about telling you this. I was like, every time I got back into the grass, it felt like I was playing Mario Kart and I got onto like a little super slider thing. It was just like I I immediately just like picked up naturally because I could spend more time on the ground. I have a better relationship with like actual earth. And I was able to really just kind of just cruise up. And it was like every single time I got up there, I would just pull away from anybody who was like close to me or catch up to somebody behind me or in front of me. And it was like, and at the same time, feeling better in my feet. So it's like a recovery and a speed boost all at the same time. And that's what made it feel good. It wasn't there available the whole time. There was definitely some parts of the street. I'm like, why is this so dug up? It felt excruciating at some points in time. Like, oh my gosh,
What did I
when
sign
will
up for?
when will this part of the street end? Like, it has to
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
In other parts, still on the street, like I didn't even feel my feet. Like almost, almost numbing, but a sweet numbing. Like it's just like it's not there. I'm not thinking about it. I'm going. My pace isn't dwindling. It's just I'm like going. I'm like cool. Like everything feels good. Um, so now again, the longest barefoot race I ran up to this point has been a 10K. So I hear my time. I'm like, oh, I might PR for my 10K. So I kind of pick it up a little bit, PR for my 10K, ease back. And then I reached 10 miles, which is the longest amount I've ran, period. And then right after that, my family was like set up like right there. And ironically, so when I run 10 miles in my house, I usually finish right outside my house. So like it's usually like I run 10 miles and I'm home. And it was like how God set it up. It's like I ran 10 miles and then I was home with my family. And then my wife had a sign, my son had the sign, my wife had a sign that says, God said, keep going. And it was like, I stopped, I gave him all a kiss, like really quick, like kissed my two sons, kissed her, and then kept going. And I just like, I got this extra boost. I got my Christian playlist in my ear. That's like not gospel, but like a real turnt playlist, just all preaching about God. And it was just like, oh yeah, I'm good. I just got my family. I got like just my recharge. Literally, it's like Mario. That was a mushroom. It was like my little star. Like dun, 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 dun. So I'm going, and then mile 12, 11, 12, my calves start like seizing up on me. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's get through this. But got through it, and then I see the finish line, and I kind of sprint-ish to the finish. Pray as soon as I crossed the finish line, and I was actually like walking and talking just fine. I was actually nasal breathing most of the race.
That's important. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was really calm, really comfortable, not winded. I was proud. I'm like, wow. And I broke 2 hours. So I was like 1:52 was my time.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Shoes, no shoes. Like seriously, I think it's something worth talking about more. And congrats to you for getting through it. And I mean, obviously, for people who are watching the show, listening to this show, you might think like, yeah, okay, so what? But I think if you understand at least what I know about Jordan is we try to do the best we can to be role models for the people around us, our community, our family, our friends, our loved ones. And sometimes the best way to do that is to just be the light, to be the guide. But we also have people around us in our circles that uplift one another, and so I'm rooting you on this whole time, right? And you're also supporting what I'm doing. And like now we can talk about this because this has been something that's been in the making for a bit. And I think this just proves that it can be done. Now, does that mean everyone should go out and work to do a barefooted marathon of any type, or does that mean that you can use this as inspiration, especially when you start to doubt what conventional shoes are actually doing to our bodies, right? And I think the latter. I think it should be something to make you go, oh, interesting, right? Because when we did the speed project, a lot of people came to us and were like, wow, we didn't realize that you could run in run long distances in barefoot shoes. We're like, well, of course. How do you think our ancestors, many, 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 many moons ago, they didn't have even, they did it the way you did it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think they had it a little bit easier than you did because you now have modern terrain in which our ancestors didn't have to deal with.
Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
got street and all these, of course there was many undulations in the past, but they didn't have to contend against, nails and glass and, needles.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
where did you do the run, by the way? Where was it?
Well, I'm here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Right. So
Yeah.
I obviously know that, but for the people listening, so
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Jordan. This is Jordan Alexander. Um, Jordan and I. When did we first meet? How many? I think we talked about this once before, but I couldn't recall. It was.
I actually don't fully remember. I remember. I think
You
when
know
you
what?
hit me up,
I know what it. I know what it was. I know exactly when it was. You know how? Because it was right before I was running the marathon,
hmm,
and that was in 2017. So I ran the New York City Marathon in 2017, and I remember you and Tim Gray were set up at Paragon, and
yes,
you were doing like massage and stretch. And
yeah,
see, that's the brain working, huh? But so I was there chatting it up with Tim, and then I think you also did something for me or on me, and or that was, I think I met you there and you were working on someone else, but I seem to remember
yeah.
you and Tim both being there. And
Hmm.
then I can't remember if that was before I ran the marathon or after. I think it was before.
I
I
think
think.
I think we said. I remember that day. I remember that weekend. It was definitely a pre-marathon setup, and yeah, because I remember that I didn't know much about New York City setup and like Paragon. I didn't even know anything about Paragon, period. And then that weekend, it's a beautiful space when you get to. I was definitely very much a student of Tim's. And Tim is very much, he'll throw you in the fire, throw you in the water, sink or swim. And
Yeah.
it's just like bodies after bodies after bodies being thrown at you. And you learn so fast. I remember that weekend, like just working and loving it. Like, yes, like next person. And knowing that there's a purpose to this. Like, you guys are about to run something I would never think I would even do at this point. Like, years later, they'll even do this. But they're like, yeah, you're gonna need your body to work on your all cylinders firing. So yeah, wow.
Yeah.
For a while, I was like, I don't remember when we met, but now it's
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah, that was 2017, and this is 2025, right? So that was like exactly, what would it be, 8 years ago, right?
yeah, yeah,
Exactly 8 years ago, because it was around this time. Yeah. Um, but so much has happened since then. Obviously, like, I've got two kids, you've got two kids. Um, you've been traveling all over, because I mean, I don't know how long you were here, because like you weren't living here then, though, right? You just were coming in to visit. Is that right?
I was in 2017. I was still living in New York,
Okay.
um, and I wasn't living in New York City. I was living in Middletown, New York, kind of upstate, kind of by Bear Mountain area.
Yeah.
And then 2018, I moved to Atlanta, and that's when things really kind of kicked off for me because to me, I was in a real city, like Middletown, New York. Nobody knows where it is. Shout out to everybody who's there who, like know me, but like nobody, like if you say, oh yeah, visit, like book a session with me, I'm in Middletown. Nobody's doing it. But I've had people come from other countries to see me in Atlanta and New York City.
Bet.
So it's
Well,
been a
that
beautiful thing.
that is a beautiful thing, and it's worth mentioning. Like, again, part of the reason why I started this podcast. In fact, I started this podcast in 2017. So
Hmm.
I may have, let's see, did I have this podcast at that time? I seem to remember it was early 2017. It was at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I did have this podcast, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's one of those things where, like, I wanted to use this as a resource for my community. So I know I'm talking about different products and services and highlighting different people's work. So I want to have that as a resource, so that when somebody asks me, like, hey, what's a good exercise, or do you think this product is actually worth buying? Now I can say, check out my Instagram or my social media, or listen to my podcast, right? But another reason why I do this is because I want to be able to highlight people like yourself. people that are in the industry that may or may not be a household name, but are doing some things behind the scenes that could be very inspiring, that could be very motivating and encouraging for someone to hear the story, because at the end of the day, we can relate to real people. You know what I mean? Like I could probably at some point bring on a bunch of celebrity clients and pay people to come on and talk about their things. But like, to me, that doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel real. This feels real, right? Because we were about to record on this show many weeks ago, and it just
Yeah.
kept on, for some reason, it just kept on being like, nope, wait, just wait, just wait. Okay, what's the rush? What's the rush? And then this was perfect because you just completed, because what is today? Today's Monday. Just yesterday,
Yeah. Yeah.
you finished a remarkable thing. Can you show your feet? Put your feet up. Let's see your feet.
Yeah, they are bruised. So here is the big toe, which has been grabbing the
Ooh.
ground. Yeah.
That is a real bruise. Let me see the other one.
And then this one's smaller, and this is an older bruise. But yeah, overall, pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too
And
bad.
I do, and if I had to run today, it'll be like, okay, cool. Like I could probably knock out a 5K today and not feel like, oh my gosh.
Now, I will say this. You did something that I thought was really interesting, is you ran with toe spacers on as well,
I did.
right?
I did.
And
Yeah.
that, most people probably don't realize this, but I think that makes it much harder. Because
So I'll
I
let you
mean,
finish.
no, I understand the point of doing it, but I don't know if people realize, at least maybe it's different when you did it with toe spacers and no shoes, but I did the Great Saunter, which is like this walk in which you circumnavigate New York City or Manhattan, and I wore toe spacers in my boots, in my Vivos,
Yep.
and I had to, like, it took everything to just get those off at a half marathon walking, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like my toes were about to fall off because they didn't have anywhere to go, because the toe spacers actually crowd the wide toe box. You know what I mean? So I felt everything. And then, of course, spending that much time on your feet will eventually swell. So if it's inside of a shoe of any sort, you're going to come across, the edges, right? But let's talk about that. Why did you decide to do the toe spacers?
So when I did the hybrid event last Saturday, I did it in toe spacers. And the hybrid event, it was like a mile and a half of running intermittent with squats, jumps, jump rope, just exercises. And I had the toe spacers on for most of it. And I was getting a little fatigued, and I took them off. And my feet hurt so much more when I took them off to run. And I was like, maybe there's a little barrier that's like protecting my feet just a little from the toe spacers. So I was like, I'm going to run in them. And when I ran the 10K in them, it felt great. No issues, no problems. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the 10K in them. I'm going to run with the toe spacers in. And so I also wear I'll wear toe spacers for 4 hours, like throughout the day, just casually, whatever, in my house, doing whatever.
Same.
I think for some people who don't, your toes can get fatigued with being expanded for so long and working to be in that position for so long. But for me, it was actually comfortable and creates a wider base. So like,
base of support,
obviously my foot now, but then when my toe space is on, the base becomes wider, and now I have a wider point of grabbing the ground and running. And there was one point where one loop came off my big toe, and I was like, I don't want to stop. And I think it was payback for a time when I ran my first barefoot race. I ran a mile, and somebody had to stop to tie their shoelace, and I was like, I don't have those problems. And even though it was internal, but it was like, oh yeah, now you have to fix your little toe spacer, huh? Like,
interesting.
But yeah. So, but other than that, it was great. I don't think I wonder. I don't think I'm gonna go back. I think I want to try out some other brands of toe spacers. These ones are by the toe spacer mobility. So one of the original ones, and they're cool. They're thick. So they have. I feel like they're thick, and it has a little bit of a slight padding at the bottom. Not really, but yeah, it was good. They felt great. Everybody looked at my feet really weird. To the point you were making earlier about older generations knowing about the barefoot life. Here in Mexico, they're not foreign to the barefoot life. And every like real seasoned old time runner, like it was maybe like 3 of them out there, they gave me like a real heart to heart kudos. Like they saw me and they were like it was like I couldn't hear them. I had my headphones in, but I could see in their faces like you're doing it. Like you're doing it the real way, how we're supposed to do it.
That's
Almost
dope.
like they remember when they did it.
Mm.
And it was like, and to your point, like being the light. And then I had a really great conversation with the family. There was a 17-year-old out there that had some super shoe on. And his mom was like, you see? Like he's no shoes. This is how you're supposed to do it. I tried to tell him. And I was like, yeah, the issues with those shoes are they're cushioned. He was like, it's like, oh, my bones are weak in my feet. And I was like, it's because you need to build more stability in your feet from being barefoot. He was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, listen, just do half a kilometer, which is about 400 meters, one time around the track. Do that in grass. After your run, before your run, just start to build up. No pressure. You don't have to do a half marathon like I'm doing, but like start in grass, start at a slow, easy distance and pace, and grow from there. And just see, and not even grow from there, just see how it feels. And he heard me, but like a 17-year-old athlete, I'm sure he won't do it until 5 or 6 years from now.
Well, I think this is a really good point for people who might be maybe they're interested in like elevating their barefoot game, or maybe they're interested in widening their base of support so that they can have better balance and stability and maybe prevent falls as they get older. We know that these are some of the benefits of being more barefoot or close to being barefoot. Um, but I think you bring up a good point in that we must. I think it's very, very important that we hash on the fact that people have to transition properly, right? And what I do is almost take it a few steps back, um, to what you had mentioned, which is take your shoes off and go barefoot in the grass. I would say just take your shoes and socks off and just walk, right? I tell people to just start in your home because
Mhm.
I'm sure you probably understand this, but there's people out there, no judgments, just observations, but there are people out there who literally wear shoes indoors
In
and
their own house.
in their own house, right? And then so I think to myself, okay, I can't help but ask myself, and then usually I kind of ask them, but like, why were shoes created in the first place? Well, we know shoes were created to protect us against the elements, right? So the elements being the cold temperatures, hot temperatures, sharp things. Because if you punctured your skin back in those days, it was a difference between life and death, right? Because we didn't have a fancy hospital or antiseptics to be able to like take care of ourselves. So it was really important that we protected our feet from the elements. But then here we are in today's world. Now we wear shoes to make us look taller, to because of fashion, or because of pure comfort. Because sure, it does feel more comfortable to be standing on pillows, but that doesn't make us any better for doing so. Just like it probably does feel better to eat a pizza or something that is highly addictive, right? But that doesn't mean it's healthy for us. Doesn't mean it's good for us, right? And so I think we should first and foremost ask everyone to take your shoes and socks off in your home environment. Let's start there. Then maybe progress to exercising in your home barefoot.
Yeah.
That's another good point. Then try to find somewhere outdoors that you're certain doesn't have anything that's going to harm your feet, right? And just try walking, right? Because most of us do that when we go to the beach and we don't even question it. Although there are people who refuse to be on the beach even without shoes, right? So I guess all I'm
Yeah.
saying is like it would be negligent on both of our parts if we didn't at least talk about that proper transition period. And then from there, have fun with it.
hmm Yeah, definitely. And I think, and to also share, I got my first pair of Vivos last May of 2024, and wearing those pretty much every single day, and still running in Adidas, um, but still wearing the barefoot shoes. And then getting my second pair when I went to Montenegro, so January of this year. Actually went to the store in London, got the
Yeah.
whole
Oh yeah.
family some shoes, and so it was wearing those only. So now, by the time I ran my first race on on a regular day to day basis for a whole year, I've been in barefoot shoes. And prior to this, I've lived a very barefoot life and teaching animal flow, and just even when I'm working doing body work, I'm barefoot. So I was barefoot a lot, but still wearing traditional shoes. Then I switched to barefoot shoes, still running in conventional shoes, then ridding myself of those shoes and going barefoot. And then, so now it's either in barefoot shoes, and for this month, no shoes at all. Um, so there's steps, but it's still actually pretty quick. Like when the 17-year-old asked me, he was like, "How long have you been running barefoot?" I was like, since March." He was like, "March?" I
Yeah.
was like, "It's possible. Like, it doesn't have to be this super long thing." Also, in March, my longest run was a 5K that I was still slightly terrified of.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it really depends on. I'm not surprised that the 17-year-old was shocked by that because it people when you say something like that, they know typically they know how much dedication it takes to doing so. And so the shock comes from like, oh, I don't know if I could be that committed to be able to do it in that amount of time.
yeah,
But I think if we can tell ourselves that like what you're doing just shows that it is possible, then okay, just like Jordan could become, one of the best athletes of all time, we know that there's the capacity to do so, but unless you have his drive, his talent, his God-given talent, his everything that is Michael Jordan, unless you
oh,
possess
I thought
that.
you were talking about. I thought you were talking about me. I thought, I was like, man, he's so kind.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, it's like I just think that it's important to say that we have enough examples in the world to say that we can do certain things. But it doesn't always mean that we have to do that. And it doesn't always mean that we shouldn't do that. It's like we've got
hmm
to find our way. We got to find what works for us. And I love that you found something that works for you. And I definitely don't want to gloss over the fact that, we've talked about how, we met because you were doing an event with Tim, which means you were doing some bodywork stuff. And then you kind of casually talked about doing bodywork here and there. But let's just kind of maybe take a few steps back. And I don't want to belabor it too much, but I want to give people a better sense of who you are, where you come from, how you've gotten to where you are today, and the amazing experiences that you've accrued up into this point in your life.
Yeah. Keeping it short and sweet. I love movement. It's been truly the first like love of my life, between dancing, running. I was a track athlete, all the way through college. More of a jumper and a sprinter. Hated distance. Um, and then after college, I got into coaching. Then I got into yoga. Fell deeply in love with yoga, and then got into bodywork. And the same time I got into bodywork, I was in massage school. I met Tim and found out he's a massage therapist, and I was like, cool. Um, and going through and being able to take his mentorship and grow and evolve in my business, and then take my business to Atlanta. And I fell in love with the fascia more than muscles and just biomechanics, and understanding how fascia works and the intertwinings of all that. It was just amazing. And I really kind of like made that my treatment, like more of a fascial treatment. And I went up to Toronto and studied under Mile Detox, under Vin Pham.
It's now called Mayo.
Is it? Okay, cool. Yeah. So
Yeah, I just met with that group. We're gonna do some stuff together
that's
with
what's up.
Vivo.
That's what's up.
Yeah. But anyway, please.
So studied under him, did FST, so kind of combined those two, and those are my sessions, and really loved and obsessed over the body and how it moves. And my motto at the time was more movement, more life. So my goal was like to help people move more, like be the athlete that you're designed to be, whether your sport is playing with your grandkid or actually running a marathon or playing like professional sport or whatever it is. And so did that since 2015, 16, and growing and evolving in that deeply. And then being able to teach other people. So I think it was around 2018, somebody was like, "Hey, can you teach me what you know?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm just getting started." He was like, "It's okay. Like I want to learn. Like, you know so much, I want to learn." And I was like, "Cool." And I opened up my first like mentorship program, had 2 students, and then I was like, "Cool." And every month I did it, and I had like 1 student, 3 students, 4. And I was like, "Cool." And meanwhile, I was like building my staff in Atlanta. Poorly managed my business there, so I had to close that down, like the actual storefront space.
I remember when you first cut the ribbon and had the little
Yeah,
party. Yeah, bro.
it was,
I
yeah,
remember
man.
all that.
It was such a beautiful time. And so yeah, I've been really obsessing about the body. And then it was probably around it was COVID, when I really fell in love with my feet. And because I was on a run in some very cushioned shoes, and I rolled my ankle on like a loose piece of gravel, and I was like a mile out, and I was like, I now got to limp back. And I had just did a online TFC workshop class, and it was like restoring mobility, and I also took FRC's thing, and FRC's
But
mobility specialist.
by the way, for those that are listening and watching and that aren't familiar with TFC, FRC, TFC is the Foot Collective, and
Yes.
FRC is what? Functional range conditioning.
Functional range conditioning by Anatomy
Yeah.
Seminars.
Yeah.
So I did.
Not everybody knows all these acronyms, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for clearing that up.
No worries.
But I remember Andrea Spina mentioning, like, when you get injured, you want to introduce full range of motion as soon as possible. So I remember literally going through and like introducing full range of motion to my ankle and doing my ankle circles. And I remember at that point in time, I realized rehab is 24/7. It's not like you go to a physio, you go to a PT, you do your 45 minutes and then that's it. It's like every free second I had, I was like ankle rotating. I'm like, okay, let me do this. And I was like slowly walking. I was doing everything I could, as much as I could. So let me take this. And I was able to rehab that. And that's when I fell in love with my feet and understanding the power of that. And then fast forward to 2023, I'm living in Belize. We had just moved, and I was refining myself, redeciding what I'm doing. And then we were staying at a hotel. So Belize is a very barefoot life, like a barefoot place. And we were staying at a hotel named Barefoot. And I was like, the Barefoot Movement Club. That's what I'm going to call it was going to be an online library. And then later I was like, yo, I should do like a Barefoot Movement Fest, like get all the barefoot nerds together and do this thing. And I started it, but it didn't really grab any ground. That started to work on feet only and really just obsessing over it, watching all the feet videos. But what I realized, I was like, barefoot wasn't cool. It was like all the nerds know about it. If you're into the body, if you're into that, like, you know about it, but like, why are Jordans still being sold? Why are Adidas Ultra Boosts and Nike Vapor Flies and Alpha, whatever, their Alpha Flies, why are these shoes still cool? Is like, because Barefoot's not lit. And I was like, I want to make Barefoot lit.
Mm.
And it wasn't until this year that, God just dropped in my heart to do something that hasn't been done yet. And I was like, wait, it hasn't been done? Like, I heard it in my head and I was like, that hasn't been done. And it's something that obviously, I've been working on is the Barefoot games. And
That's right. That's right. This
and
is
the
this is the big reveal. I mean, obviously there will be a lot more to come, but I think well, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. Obviously, to talk about the Barefoot half marathon, but then I know that there's a lot of things that eventually, as it gets more worked through and more worked out, will come to fruition. But before we touch on that real quick, I wanted
Mhm.
to go over something that I think is important for people to understand, because when you were talking about you rolled your ankle, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he told you to introduce more movement instead of less movement, right? That is the most people would probably kind of think, wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to use the RICE acronym, which is like, what is it, like rest and incline and compress and
And
elevate or something like
elevation.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the I? I forgot what the I was.
It's
It,
ice.
ice. That's right. So check this out. So here's something that I came across, and I feel like this is going to be something that most people maybe have not heard of, but it's this concept of rice versus meat. So peep this. I got it shared up on the screen here. But rice is rest, ice, compression, elevation is a traditional method for immediate acute injury care, while MEAT, the acronym MEAT, stands for movement, exercise, analgesia, treatment, is a newer approach that emphasizes active recovery to promote faster healing after the initial phase. Meat is generally recommended for after the first few days to encourage blood flow and prevent stiffness, and can be used in conjunction with rice's initial management phase. And so if you see all down here, like this is something that I first heard about whenever I was at this conference in Boulder, which is called the Home Hope um, Symposium. And one of the speakers, I forget her name, but she was talking about this, and I thought, oh, that's kind of brilliant, because it automatically makes people want to question it, because it's like it's talking about food and the types of food, which is very similar to politics and religion. It's like you don't talk about people's food, right? So you say like rice versus meat, meat's better. People automatically want to go, no, it's not, right? But if
Yeah.
you understand what's behind it, that's why I wanted to share that, because it's essentially this concept of what you went through, and you saw that eventually that made you into a more all around better coach, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, definitely. Like going through the experience helps me with anybody who's going through an injury to like, okay, cool. You may think you need to keep it still, but you want to keep it going, and you're going to push through some of that pain. And you're also going to feel that. But pain is a messenger telling your body that it's a signal. It's a message. It's not actually like, I need to stay away from it. You need to just navigate the pain, but understand that like, it's gonna hurt either way. So you could avoid pain, and then by the end of it, now you can't move whatever joint it is because you didn't increase the range of motion. You didn't introduce the range of motion. The best way I describe injuries is even if you like, let's say you tear a muscle, let's say you pop a muscle, and it's like the scar tissue happens. Imagine a highway. Imagine there's gonna be a fresh pothole. That's your scar. That's the injury. Scar tissue comes in, and that's like people coming in and just kind of filling that hole with whatever. That's scar tissue. So every time a car rolls over it, you feel that bump that was there. That's your scar tissue stuck in there. But if people actually properly repaired the road and like laid down, poured the pavement in and had the steamroller thing go over and like smooth it out, and that's really so cells, without getting too sciencey, cells speak through force. So when the body is creating new cells, you want to tell the body how to lay down those new fibers. You want to do that through motion. So If you want the new fibers to be laid down right, then you need to move the body in the way you want those new fibers to be created and laid down to reduce scar tissue. Also, like actual soft tissue manipulation helps with this yourself, or a tool, or just going to a specialist. But now you could help the creation and the laying down of the new fibers, so that way that highway is now a smooth way. So every time a car goes over it, you don't even know there was an injury there before. You don't know there's a pothole there. But same goes for your body. And when I break it down that way, most people are like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
It's really good that you break it down like that, because I'm sure there's some people that'll kind of take that analogy and run with it. And for me, when I hear that, I think to myself, yeah, that's a great example of the different types of forces that act upon our body and that we can act upon nature, right? There's many different types of forces, right? There's the ground reaction force, but then there's this intrinsic, force within our body, and then there's this extrinsic, right? So there's forces that act upon us, and then forces that we can kind of build and create within us, and
Hmm.
then there's forces that we act upon, in which we try to absorb or deflect, right? So there's all these
Yeah.
different things, and one of the most beneficial ways to build up this capacity within our body is isometrics. And I think this is one of the things that people neglect, because isometrics don't look good on a Instagram reel. You know what I mean? It doesn't look good on the front page of a magazine, right? It's just like, what is it? And then also, I think people, when they hear isometrics, they think of usually one or two things. They think of planks and wall sit. But when I'm talking about isometrics, I'm talking about like loading your body and getting what we call TUT, or time under tension. And this becomes one of the most difficult things. In fact, there's a challenge that I'm going to start doing. Actually, there was one challenge that I put up on Instagram, which I think you went through it. You did it, right? You know, the one I'm standing on one leg for 90 seconds and doing all
Yeah.
these
Yeah. Yeah.
movements.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I got a couple more coming out that is going to drive this point home. And it's the things in which most people will find a hard time doing it unless you've practiced it, right? And so just be on the lookout for that, because it's coming, people. It's coming. um
Beautiful. Beautiful.
anyway, I I definitely want to leave some more mysteriousness around who you are, because I think it'll be a really good opportunity to invite you back onto the show so we can see what else has developed within all things Jordan and all things Barefoot, Rasta
Yeah.
athlete, man of God, family man, like all the things, right? Um, and I think we alluded to enough to where people will hopefully want to follow up, and I'd love to be able to, because I know you and I have talked about getting together. We've talked about possibly making like moves and doing businesses together, and maybe living in the same city. And, there's a lot of stuff we've been talking about behind the scenes. Um, so this will not be the last of Jordan Alexander on the show. I can promise you that. Um, but before we sign off, is there anything else that you would like to discuss or talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about today?
Um. Hmm.
And it doesn't
I
have to be,
think.
because, we can always
Yeah.
do it
No. I
again.
mean, if we're saving the big juice for another time, then yeah, we could save that. I do know there's there is one thing. The What helped me through this race also, and it came to me during prayer the night before the race, is mind, body, spirit. And I think we can't, we know it in that order, but the order is actually spirit, mind, body, and everything is in servitude from the ground up. So the body your flesh should actually be a servant to the mind, and your mind should be a servant to spirit. So whatever God is telling you, the Spirit's telling you, when you're connected and you could hear that, you have to wrap your mind around that, because your mind
Mm.
is a servant to spirit. Again, God said run this barefoot, and I had to be like, what? You sure? What are the shoes, right? I got barefoot shoes. That counts. And it's like, wrap your mind around it. And then my mind's like, hey, feet, wrap your feet around this, because this is what happens, because my orders from spirit says this, so I'm telling you my orders. And that just builds us a stronger human. If you could have a mastery, if your mind can master your flesh, whether it feels good or doesn't, like this is what needs to happen. You need to work out every day. You need to run. You need to do push-ups. You need to eat better. You need to not do that. You need to stop drinking. You need to You need to have more discipline overall. And then if your mind could be as obedient to what spirit is telling you, then you could actually live and be just a better, in my opinion, I guess, a better human, because that's the order of how things go versus mind, body, spirit, and leaving spirit at the bottom as if like this thing that kind of doesn't matter, or we pick and choose when we should listen to it. And I want to leave that with everybody, so that way they could just, ponder on it, meditate on it. But it's led me to run 13.1 miles barefoot.
I think it's a beautiful way to wrap this up, and to also allow people to understand that this is your experience, this is your perspective. And I'm sure there's people out there who want to dive deeper into your thought process. So what's the best way for people to keep in touch with what you're doing?
Instagram is the best. This is how I human. I also have a podcast called The Bare Athlete, and it's on YouTube, Spotify, all places you can find it.
That's BARE athlete, The Bare Athlete.
Yes. And yeah, I'm there talking about all things bare. So not mostly barefoot, but like just bare, raw, like it's as it is.
I get it. I'm with it. There it is. All right. Well, listen, Jordan, I appreciate your time. Again, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment you just gone through. Rest up, heal up, and keep doing your thing. And I look forward to whatever else is on the horizon. So thanks for your time.
Many more
and for those of you that are watching and listening, thanks for the support. If you are curious about what else Jordan's up to or anything we might be doing together, let us know, because hopefully he and I will be in a city near you soon, in which we'll do some sort of experience. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. And until next time, peace.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seat belts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen. Better come give us a minute or two. Open the box up, we giving you tools. Giving your engine the fuel that it needs. Breathing into it, it's autoimmune. Make a connection, we're stronger than two. Making us one of a kind of a few. Work on the mind, but show me your moves. If you do what you say, you know what to do. Yeah.
Walk the